That was so early.
Of course, yeah.
He just called himself the Gazebo.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like I said, I feel like life's a journey and it has different chapters. You know, life's a book, as they say. Do you get me? And I think this is kind of a great part of it for me, coming from a documentation background, and being able to have everything kind of put in a space where we can see kind of key parts of the journey and what they kind of did, and have the history and knowledge, and then for youth to be able to come and find out about this, read up about it, people that are not from these backgrounds, from all across different walks of life, different paths of life, to be able to kind of come in here and kind of be educated on what and how impactful this movement was in London, you know, and not just London, in England, period. But obviously starting off in East London, small part of East London, and kind of given that kind of a timeline, and also being able to have this information here, so in 50 years, 100 years, 20 years, they can always show this. You know, they always have this knowledge, and they always have these artifacts and assets and footage, and, you know, insights from people like myself, Risky Roads, and other people, that you're actually getting the true story. You know, sometimes a lot of these things are done by people that kind of wasn't really there. They're given a kind of third person perspective or fourth person perspective, where this is coming from first hand perspective. So I think it's really important for somebody like myself to kind of tell my story, and for my peers to tell their story, and for it to come from us, you know what I mean? So I think, yes, this is really good.
Roony.
Yes, what's happening, mate?
Here we are, mate. Grime Stories.
Mad, eh?
Just spoke to Jammer. Talk about you guys' connection.
Yes.
Talk about when that started, how organically it started, and how it finds itself here 20 odd years later.
Yeah, like, me and Jam first met in Ribbon Division. You know, like I worked in Ribbon Division as a Saturday job. So Jam used to come in, and that's how we met. And then obviously we've both worked in the scene, and now we're here. You know, like Museum contacted me, asked they wanted to do a project on grime, East London, family. You know, like the core places within East. Jam's basement's one of the hubs like mine, and it is only right that you give Jam the nod as well, you know, and it's special to work on it with him as well, you know, like something we've never actually worked on a project together, so this is what a great first project to work on together, you know,
a brilliant first
project, first of many, you know, and it's special. Like I'm still trying to take it all in. It started off as a fan, you know, like you're a fan, you want to do, and then it was at a time where you had to have physical things, you know, like tapes. So you're filming it and you've got the tapes. They cost money, so you keep them, you treasure them. They're memories, you know, like, and you had a way of saving them, and you keep hold of them and you look after them, you know, and that goes along with everything. I kind of kept that with everything. Like, as you see in the thing, there's a Ribbon Division carrier bag, you know, like I got my vinyl collection, and I made sure that I kept one of them, because that was a big part of my life, and you never know how long the store is going to be there for. Sadly, it's a coffee shop, but that memory is still there. And same with my cameras, you know, like things that meant something to me along the way, I've made sure I've kept, and that just comes from the love and being a fan, you know, like, and being proud of the roots of grime to what it's doing now, and seeing your friends excel to these mad levels and performing at these crazy places across the world, and the world looking in at us, and massive artists knowing who we are and seeing what we're doing. Every single one of them tapes and every single piece of equipment or whatever that I've kept along the way symbolises that pride, you know, and hopefully you get that when you walk around in here.
You know what, it's quite amazing to see the journey of grime. It's come a long way, and obviously for me I just felt like it's important to capture it in an artistic way, and obviously, as you know, grime is quite energetic, so I just felt like, let me just showcase a different side of grime. Let's look at the area. Let's look at the building. Let's just give it a bit more kind of like a colourful life. Yeah, that's the piece I came up with. It's like a representation of East London, like different parts of East London. You can't fit the whole East London into it, but I was trying to like.
But you're saying this is something that if most East Londoners look at, they can connect with, right?
Yeah, you can trigger it, but to be honest with you, it's just London generally. You can go to certain areas, and some certain areas do look alike, but this is more kind of like East London, what East London looks like.
What did grime mean to you growing up, sir?
Oh man, it was like a lifestyle, culture. It kind of like you had to like dress a certain way, look a certain way, talk a certain way. So it was kind of a lifestyle and a culture. And everyone played their own kind of responsibility to make it a culture, if that makes sense.
Where do you see the youngsters taking advantage of culture or shaping the culture as it moves forward?
You know what? I just feel like they're just gonna like extend it even more. They know how to make money. They're all learning how to run a business. So I think they're gonna just make grime even bigger. I want to see grime movies. I want to see like grime like festivals. I want to see like all those type of like adventurous things happening in grime. But it's gonna take a while. It might take a while, but we'll see what happens. It's just as long as it's here, I believe grime will always like be a culture.
I've got two of my favourite, say, freestyles. They're like memorable ones, you know. One, there's a clip of one in the film of me with the interviews, and there's one on one of the others, and that's the Gets freestyle.
Classic.
Yeah, and the Movement freestyle.
Right.
They were two, like, I think the Gets freestyle is one of them ones where you went there just expecting a little freestyle, and you got Gets in his like, this is who I am, this is mine now, you know. And it's one of them, to this day I remember every single word of that freestyle. Same with the Movement one. Got that call from Gets, Wretch, they're like, we're in Roman, Skeppy and Will and Frisco's here, come through. So run down there, jumped on a bus, I wasn't even driving then, you know. Got there, camera out, bam. And that was another one, word for word. I think they're two special moments. And then you got other stuff like within here, the pirate radio stuff. That's special for other reasons, because that's a moment that will never come back, you know. And if anything, I wish I'd have spent more time in pirate radio, filming everything. And yeah, I suppose within them, they're all in here. And that little lift that you enter in there and go. The other day when I went in there, that got me, because that was everything pirate radio to come back. Like, there's a clip of Tinchy coming in Raw Blaze, one of the shows, one of the stations then, and Stormzy's Shut Up instrumentals playing, like XTC, Rough Squad producer. That beat's playing, and that's in 2004. So within that one clip, the progression that you're seeing from 2004, that instrumental, to what that instrumental has done and continued to do, it's amazing.
I obviously knew that what I was doing, you know, because some of the moments that I was creating and capturing are some of the most iconic moments in UK British culture. Did I know it was going to be to this magnitude? I couldn't really predict that, you know. I couldn't really predict the magnitude that it was going to actually become in the future. I didn't know the magnitude that it was going to kind of extend to, but I must have known something, because everything that I was documenting was key, and everything that I documented elevated the culture, elevated individuals, elevated artists. And you know, not only me, there's other players within it that kind of helped assist, you know, creating those moments and also documenting those moments. Risky being one of them, you know what I'm saying? And in the time when we started documenting things, there was no one. There was only like 3-4 man, 5 man max documenting, you know what I'm saying? Not even 5, it was like me, Risky, A+, yeah, and then, yeah, like literally like making those documentations. So, yeah, to say like, would I have known it would have been this magnitude? Yes and no, but to see it visually manifest is something else, you know what I'm saying?
I'd love to see this educating people all over the country.
Yeah.
It's brilliant that it's here at the Museum of London. It's brilliant that it's in London, birthplace.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see different pockets of the country educated, different museums up for flying the exhibition. Is that something that's on your radar?
I'd love to go to it. I was speaking with the team here. Obviously, I've done the Birmingham doc, so like that would be the kind of progression point. I would say personally, like the next one, and then the other. But even there's other parts of London as well. Like this was very East centric. They wanted East London because East London hasn't really been told within the museum, and they wanted to tell the story of East London. Grime had to be that, and then there we go. But yeah, that is something I'd definitely love to do. Like there's so many other scenes and branches and different stories and different unsung heroes that could be celebrated. You know, like in all the different pockets of the country, and who knows, even worldwide. The world is listening onto this now. So who knows where this goes? But it's special, and yeah, like even now, you know, like you have to pinch yourself.
I can see you can't stop smiling, can you? No,
it's just proud moments. Like when that email from Delia hit my inbox to say that the museum have got this idea, would I help them with it? I had to check the email address a couple of times, you know. It's just like from what we've come from to a museum paying attention. That's a whole different, you know, like this is immortalised for my son's going to go to school trips to the Museum of London and see all of this, and that's special.
Where does Grime go now? Because we're 20 years later, 22 years later, 23 years later. How does it impact on culture over the next 10, 20 years, in your mind's eye, because no one can predict anything?
Well, I think it's already impacting on culture as we stand now. Like I said, grime to me is not a genre, it's not a BPM, it's a culture, it's a way of life, it's a way of living, it's how we come up, and it's how people are now taking that same ideology and adding it to their 2020, 2022 life approach to whatever beat they might be rapping over. So like I feel like drill music grime lives heavily through drill at the moment. I think there's so many aspects in drill, you know, a lot of the sound, sample banks, the beats, the drums, the gliding 808, which was a kind of replication of the gliding square, which was from the Triton Trinity keyboard, which is shown.
If you're a musician, you know about, right?
Yeah. So these are sonical sounds that I've lived on through the music, but also then the approach to rapping, the way you move on the beat, the way you add your slang to the beat, speaking in an actual British accent, using British lingo. All of these elements come from grime music. So I think there's a lot living through just life in general, like DIY culture, which is grime. You do it yourself, you get up. Independence, a lot of these fashion brands, a lot of, even if you look at like the influencer, you look at the podcaster, you look at today's presenter, these are all people that have grown up on grime music, the grime synergy, and just learning about getting up and doing it yourself and trying to make a little hustle, getting out there, do you know what I'm saying? Not taking no for an answer. So culturally, I think grime has a massive impact over so many different things that people don't even really realise that grime's impact, do you know? So I think it lives through us, it lives through the next generation, and it lives through the generation after them.